y'all, I'm Cece, and I am overwhelmed. So I'm overwhelmed for a variety of reasons, and I'm going to update you on a few of them. Plus, I am going to be doing the overwhelmed book tag. I was tagged by my lovely friend Anna to do this video. Their channel, Anna G, is going to be linked down in the description below. If you want to check out her channel, it would be so sweet of you to do that. The person who originally created this tag is also a lovely friend, Kathy, whose channel will be linked in the description as well. So before we get into the tag itself, I wanted to give you a couple of little updates about my life. It's definitely going to be a relevant part of why I've been overwhelmed, which is that in October, I wound up in the ER due to some abdominal pain. And it turned out that I really needed to have my gallbladder removed. This won't be super surprising to those of you who follow me on other social media. I have been talking a bit about my recovery and just kind of resting throughout all of October, which is why you didn't see as much from me. I was filming a vlog and am filming a vlog that hopefully you will see eventually. And it includes clips both before and after the initial hospital visit and the surgery itself, so you're gonna get plenty of content eventually. So, having surgery, and let me just say, the first surgery of my life, was kind of a big thing in October, and it did leave me feeling overwhelmed. However, on the flip side of having very sudden surgery, I will say that I have been struggling with, like, nausea and, like, gastrointestinal issues for basically from when I was 14 to now. I have been sick to my stomach, at least a little bit. I spent a long ass time in junior high and even high school trying to figure out a reason and never could. But you know, I've been managing because I've been managing for 12 years. And one of the most ridiculous things that has happened to me is that I don't wake up sick to my stomach anymore, which is an experience that I literally don't remember a time in my life when I could regularly experience that. So like, yeah, I've been in bed and I've been resting and I haven't been able to sit in front of the camera, and to be honest, I haven't been able to wear pants. I mean, I'm wearing overalls now, and it's not out of the norm for me to wear overalls, but waistbands are pretty much out of the question lately. And all of that resting has been so incredibly worth it, because even though I still definitely have issues that are linked to a variety of things, it turns out that this organ that I've had in my body has been causing me so many problems for years. So there's your life update from me. I mean, I'm feeling pretty great right now. I'm in a really good mood. I've been anxious today about, like, sitting down and filming, but it's been, like, because it's been a while, but it's also been a while since I've felt this able to just sit here and talk to a camera and have it feel normal. So that's pretty cool. Alright, so that's the bulk of what I wanted to update you about, because it's such a huge shift for me personally, and it's not something that I ever would have imagined suddenly shifting about my life. In the middle of October of 2021, I've literally never been in an ambulance ride before. Got that first experience. But with all that being said, I am still incredibly overwhelmed on a day-to-day basis, and I want to tell you more about it. So I am going to jump into the overwhelmed book tag questions in just a second, but first, I want to talk about the people who are making this video possible. This video was sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community full of creative and curious people hoping to hone their skills and learn new ones. There are thousands of classes in design, photography, freelancing, video creation, and so much more. I have been working with Skillshare for a while now, and I absolutely never run out of things to recommend, classes to point you towards. I wanted to recommend a class today on mindfulness because that has been so essential to my day-to-day. That class is Creative Mindfulness. Easy exercises to find magic inspiration everywhere. I love this class because it's about mindfulness, but it's also about creativity, and that is essential to me, along with having a timeline that feels manageable. And it's a class about emphasizing paying attention to what's already around you, which I find very helpful and creatively inspiring, honestly. Skillshare Premium Premium gets you unlimited access to all of the classes on their platform, and like I said, there are a ton of them, plus the first 1,000 people who click the link down in my description are going to get a 1-month free trial of that Skillshare Premium membership. Thanks again so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video, and now let's talk about being overwhelmed and bookish, my two greatest skills, honestly. Question 1. Are you feeling overwhelmed, and if so, why are you feeling overwhelmed? So you kind of already have the main one. I've been recovering from surgery. I've also been overwhelmed just because my anxiety's been incredibly high lately, and it's made it a little difficult to focus. I really do constantly have to remind myself that everyone is going through it right now. Like, I haven't spoken to one person in 2 years who is, like, handling everything super well. And that's fine, because at this point, our brains are not equipped to handle the things going on in the world. So I'm overwhelmed because I live in a day and age when there's so many things happening that my brain feels like it's sizzling on a blacktop. I've also been feeling frustrated lately on and off with my ability to read, which I think I've been pretty open about. This year it has been a real struggle for me to focus on words on a page, and the audiobook doesn't help either. I can't even listen to like short podcasts right now without zoning out 10 seconds in. I did, however, finish a book before I went in and got surgery, so I feel like I'm still kind of riding that high as I stare down some of the books that I'm not finishing right now, which actually is a perfect lead into question 2. Look at me. It's like I know about segues and I've been making videos for 6 years. Question number 2. Tell us about the TBR that is lurking over your shoulder. The thing is, what you're seeing isn't even all of it. I have an entire dresser, just off frame, that has books stacked on it. I have a very tall stack of books sitting on the floor. Actually, I have 3 stacks of books just on my floor. I have all of the books that I'm thinking about reading soon lined up on my end table over here, just off frame. And I have several books loaned to my sister in Utah, so, you know, like, few months between when I see those. I will say that at this point, my TBR and my read books are completely intermixed. I combined all of my books in, like, August, maybe, and despite the fact that everything is kind of messy right now, I also have no intention of changing it because this, like, lack of organization is one of the most soothing things I've experienced in a while. I love a system, but I also get tied down by a system. If I have a set way of organizing things and I run out of space, that causes me stress. So now, just put shit anywhere. And it's great. Apparently, maximalism and books sticking out everywhere has been my aesthetic for years. I finally got it. That shelf is, I would say, the largest percentage of books that I have read. So, that one isn't so bad for TBR, but these two have, a lot. And I used to get really upset about that, but I'll be honest, my TBR is not something that at this point overwhelms me. It used to be that keeping my TBR at a reasonable level would overwhelm me because I would stress about not reading fast enough, but I like having books around me. I like having physical books that I can take photos of, that I can read whenever I want, that I can highlight. Like, it's one of those things that means a lot to me. So the stress of keeping that TBR at a reasonable level was way more overwhelming than just saying, okay, you'll find a way, and if you can't, create a stack, and it's fine. Just embrace the thing that makes you happy. Question 3. How is video making / the bookternet posting shaping your reading experience? I have been making videos, I think I said, for 6 years. For a long time, I definitely think that making content was creating more pressure for me to read more, even when I didn't want to. But I think at this point, when I'm reading a book, I'm always thinking about how I'll review it. And obviously, part of that is that I went to college and I got a degree in English, so whenever I read a book, I want to think about it. But the fact that now I always think about reviewing it. I think about writing down buzzwords, or I think about character elements that are similar. Like, it's just created a much more expansive place in my brain when I'm reading, because instead of just reading the book, I have a hard time getting out of the zone where I'm thinking about how I'll be able to present the book to others. Question 4. What do you think you can do differently so you aren't overwhelmed? Goodness. Feel like I'm in therapy again. I think I was asked this question this week in therapy. So I will answer the things that I have been doing, which is finding creative outlets that don't have to be productive in any way. They can be, but they don't have to be. Because reading, as much as it is my hobby and my truest and first love, it is also my job, and it's kind of hard to escape that. And there are plenty of times that I read completely for fun and I don't think about the fact that it's my job, but sometimes it is. So I've gotta have those outlets of things that don't have to be productive at all. Like games. I have never been a games person. I was once told by my roommate that makes me sound like an 80-year-old. I have never been into those games. Maybe so. I haven't been. But I got into my time at Porsche a couple of months ago, and I have never played a game like I've played this game. First of all, I got to marry a woman, and that's fucking incredible. Gay wedding, we were thriving. But it gives me so many opportunities to get through really small tasks in the game that don't impact my day-to-day life and don't have that much impact if I complete them in-game, but I get that little reward in the game and I get a serotonin boost. It's all very good. So taking up that has been great, and art. I know I've said it 100 times this year, but oh my god, nothing has ever, like, no hobby of mine has ever let me kind of escape my brain the way that art does. I've been sharing more pieces recently on Instagram. I've been so proud of it. There's recently this piece that I did that I spent like several weeks working on because it's the most in-depth thing I've ever done. There were so many layers and steps, and I'm so fucking proud of how it turned out. My time at Porsche and getting into digital art are the two things that have saved me the absolute most from getting overwhelmed. And Brian, my best friend, helping to talk me through the steps of whatever has to get done instead of me just being like, if that has to get done, it's impossible, because here are all the things that lead up to it. Like, Brian is always the one who helps me narrow it down to one step at a time. How do we get this done? And it really is such a difference to be able to see that breakdown of the different steps, because my brain just doesn't work that way. Question 5. Do you have any projects you really want to do, but something is holding you back? Yes. I want to do so many reading vlogs. I write down an idea for a reading vlog every day, and the thing that's holding me back right now is my ability to focus. And it's taken me a lot of months to try to deal with not feeling guilty for that. Also, there are a ton of different, like, fashion-related projects I really want to do, and it's just, like, the time and effort that goes into all of them overwhelms me, and that's just like I have to find a way to break things down in steps situation where I want to be able to talk more about clothes, I want to be able to do more pictures and videos, I gotta be able to take a step back. And right now, I can't, so I'm not going to do that project, but hopefully someday I will be able to. Question 6. Is there a book or genre that brings you joy or takes you to a satisfying place? Lately, my answer is horror. And I don't know if that's been true of books, but it's starting to be true of books as well. There's just something that I find so cathartic about horror and the way that it deals with things. It's also probably because I've been watching a lot of Mike Flanagan horror recently. Like, if you want to be scared and also just cry so much, Mike Flanagan is the director for you. That's the comforting thing that I find right now in TV, because that's what I can focus on. So I just recently watched Midnight Mass and Squid Game, of course, because they're the big releases, and I absolutely loved both of them, but Also recently watched a bunch of different horror movies. I would say it's time for yet another Haunting of Hill House rewatch, and a Bly Manor rewatch, in all honesty. And the book that I read in October, like the first book that I've read in months, horror. And I specifically read that book because it was similar to other horror movies that I've loved. So it's very likely because I was raised on mysteries, though. I have always found mysteries comforting, and at this point I just find the, like, catharsis of a ghost, like, an emotional ghost, very interesting. And Mike Flanagan loves a ghost that's also an emotion. It's so key to gothic horror, and that's why I love gothic horror. Question 7. How much does FOMO play into feeling overwhelmed? At this point, not nearly as much. I think I spent a very, very long time overwhelmed because I didn't want to miss out on anything. I didn't want to miss out on different groups on the internet. I didn't want to be out of the loop with whatever people were watching right now. And obviously I'm still into new releases and that kind of thing, but going my own pace, I think, has been a huge theme for 2021, and that, like, FOMO element is starting to fade from my body. At this point, I think I've been so overwhelmed that, like, I don't have time to worry what I'm missing out on. I had an organ taken out. Like, there's only so much I can do, honestly. Question 8. Is there anything you do specifically because of BookTube/Bookternet that you'd likely drop without it? Oh my god. I mean, I think there are probably a few books that would get kicked off my shelf if social media wasn't a part of it, because they're there, like, expressly for the purpose of making content about them. God, I hate saying shit like that. You know, I have books that I never would have bought otherwise, but I purchased specifically to do a reading vlog. So if that reading vlog doesn't exist anymore, then I'm not gonna buy those books. I guess that's one thing. That seems specific. What else? I think the problem is that I've been doing this for too long to know what I would do differently without it. Because even before I started my channel, I did a Tumblr blog when I was in high school that was all about reading, and it was all about posting recommendations and sharing lists, and, like, you know, I've been doing that for 10 years. That's a significant period of time to be posting about my reading online. So I don't know if that's a satisfying answer to the question. I would probably cull my shelves more fiercely if I wasn't considering posting online. I'd probably get rid of a few books that I only liked and didn't love, but I keep around so that I can, like, post more about them because they're relevant to the community, or they're going to be good for some people to have access to them. I do think my collection would be smaller, but I don't think it would be that much smaller. Things would change, but this has kind of always been what I've wanted. So, okay, and question 9 isn't really a question, it's just the last thing, which is to tag some friends who could use some time to chill. I want to leave this tag open to anyone, because I don't want to put pressure on anybody to film something. I understand the overwhelmed vibe, and I don't want to add to the stack, you know? So if you're seeing this video and you have felt overwhelmed and you like books, then consider yourself tagged. However, there are a couple of folks who, if you're interested and you're able to do this tag, I would love to hear some of your answers. So if you don't feel too overwhelmed, Jessie from Bowties and Books, Jananie from This Story Ain't Over, and Liv from Stories for Coffee, if any of you would like to do this tag, I would love to hear from you. And if not, then you do you, because we are all overwhelmed right now. Take a nap instead. Alright, y'all, that is it for me, from me today. I wanted to give you an update, talk books, talk mental health, talk no more gallbladder in me. So if you have felt overwhelmed lately, hopefully this made you feel a little bit more seen. Please know that everyone's overwhelmed. I haven't spoken to a single person who hasn't been overwhelmed. We're all holding on tight through this together. Other than that, y'all, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I've missed being able to talk to you. I have some videos coming up that hopefully I'd like to film, but if there's anything specific you'd like to see from me in December, let me know down in the comments below, because I'm planning out some fun stuff for then, and I'd love to include some things that you're interested in. Alright, all, I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!